technology. Wow, I'm so honored today to be here and introduce to you one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I'm going to give you a couple of remarks about her formal introduction, then I may tell you a thing or two about her personally. Dr. Mack is President and CEO of Mack & Associates, a management and organizational consulting firm that specializes in management and organizational consulting and training, executive coaching, business development, and small business consulting, among many other great things she does for her clients. Some of Dr. Mack's clients include City Furniture, City of Hollywood, Medical Care Consortium, Children's Services Council, Broward County School Board, and Kaufman Lynn General Contractors. She's also worked with Federal Express Latin America, Kennedy Space Center, Citrix, and many others. Before starting Mack & Associates, Dr. Mack was Vice President, Chief Resource Officer for the North Broward Hospital District, the third largest employer in Broward County and the fourth largest public health care system in the country with over 8,000 employees. As Vice President, Dr. Mack was responsible for providing leadership to over 100 employees working in the human resource area. She is president of the 1,000 Plus Club to Benefit Cancer and has served on chairs on the board of directors for the Broward Alliance, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the March of Dimes, Children's Home Society, and others. She served as the 1998, 2007, and 2009 co-chair of the Community Outreach Committee of the South Florida Super Bowl Host Committee and as a member of the 2007 Supreme Court Florida Bar Committee on Judicial Evaluation. Dr. Mack has received numerous awards and commendations, including Who's Who in Black South Florida, Who's Who of American Women, American Cancer Society's Woman of the Year, March of Dimes Woman of Distinction, and the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce Circle of Excellence Award in Human Resources. And on a personal note, I have known Dr. Mack for about 25 or more years. When I just kind of started in business, I think we were both about 12 maybe. And she kind of took me under her wing and showed me the ropes, introduced me to a lot of the right people, and the rest is history. And I just want to personally thank you for being one of my role models and mentors, Wilhelmena. So please help me welcome Dr. Mack. Today she'll be talking about the power of sustainable networking.
Thank you. Hey, how's everybody this afternoon? Good, good, good. Like that hand clap, too. That was really good. I would like my parents, my family. No. We're going to move it on from there. You know, when we talk about this whole business of networking, I told her I was going to move. Networking itself means doing the right things, right time, right place, right people. It means that if I'm going to network, and that's what I found, particularly when you become an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, you don't get that nice little paycheck every other week. It is, if you didn't do it, it's not coming. So it means that you got a different focus when you're out in the whole business world, because your challenges right now is, if I'm going to an event, why am I going? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm just going to go and make contact, but there's other parts to that whole process that helps you to become successful. Number one, I need to make sure that if I'm networking, I'm going to places that either my current clients have attended, because if it's important to them, it's also important to them to see that you too support what it is that they find that's important. Two, I need folks to see me too, because at the end of the day, not only do I need to know you, but I need to make sure that I'm in a place, a location, where some of the people that need to know me as well are also located. It is my opportunity when I'm out there networking or deciding what place I'm going to make sure that it winds up being of benefit, if not to me at this moment, and sometimes in the future. Because it's all about favors granted, favors owed. It gives me an opportunity to meet people that, in the back of my mind, this can become a potential referral for somebody else, and it becomes another referral to someone else, because I'm sure if you've taken the time to stop and look, many of you probably gotten business from someone that, whoa, it was something that I did a long time ago, or it was someone that I even met casually. And everybody is a part of that whole networking process for you. When I actually go to an event, one of the first things I want to do is A, arrive early. B, I want to take a look at who's coming. Because as I'm looking at the list of all those badges that are out there, who is it that I need to make sure I'm going to make a point to talk to at this particular event, okay? Again, former clients, current clients, somebody I want to see, somebody that I want to connect with. It allows me throughout that day to make sure that I've got a list of at least 5 or 7 people that I absolutely want to talk to, that allows me now an opportunity to do some follow-up on those folks, because I'm looking to, at the end of the day, hopefully watch this turn into some form of course, income for myself. The other piece that's important is, once I've got this whole plan of who I need to talk to, who I need to interact with, when I'm at the event, I'm not running around, give me a card, here's a card, here's a card, here's a card. After a while, they said, did you see that little bunny that kept moving around, collecting and giving out cards? What's up with that? The idea certainly is to take a few moments to focus in on the person that you're talking with. You want to make sure that in that exchange that's going on between you and that individual, it's an opportunity to make them feel good. Oh, as I read in your name badge, I see that you're with Eden Florida. That's the one I'm most familiar with. What does Eden Florida do? Tell me a little bit about your company. Where are you located? What are you involved in? Because at the end of the day, it's not all about me giving a card, getting one, and running on. It is about now beginning to create an impression. Because one of the first things that you need to be aware of is that that's exactly what you're doing. What are you going to remember about that person that you just met? Was it that person's eyes? Was it the passion? Was it their personality? Was it their business? What is it that's going to cause me to remember that individual when I'm going through all of those other cards that I managed to collect while I was at the event? So that becomes very, very important. I have to be sensitive to the impression that I am creating with the person that I'm speaking with. Then when I have an opportunity and they do give you a card, you kind of need to look at it. You know, you just collect the card, okay, fine, it's in, I gotta move right on. You need to take a couple of seconds to look at the cards, to review it, because that will also give you an opportunity to focus in on something about the business, the person, what they bring, of course, to the exchange that you're about to engage in. And it is at that point in time you want to certainly offer a card. And it makes it more important as opposed to just going around passing out those cards indiscriminately. Because if I miss you, that's okay. The machine, I'll pick it up from you a little bit later on, because you'll be passing it out someplace else. Or someone's discarded it in the bathroom and I can pick it up right in there. So what you want to do at that point is to make sure I've taken the time to give the recognition and the reverence at the end of the day to the person that you've collected the card from. The challenge that I find in many instances with people when they're doing their whole networking is that they're so busy worrying about trying to make the sale, trying to make the impression in those 30 seconds. It's not always going to happen, okay? Because at the end of the day, if I'm at the event, I'm talking to several people throughout the day. So what you want to do, and I've always said, you know what? Why don't I give you a call? Why don't we get together for coffee? Now, I believe in doing coffees. Why? A, because they're cheap. B, if I'm paying it, it's cheap, it's affordable. B, but I'll go to lunch if you make the offer. Hey, I'll be in. But if I'm inviting you, we're going to coffee. Coffee is good because A, it's at the beginning of the day. So if I've got you at the beginning of the day, normally I've got your total focus. At lunch, A, you're late. B, you're worried about stuff at the office. You got that BlackBerry there that you're rolling through. But if I've got you at the beginning of the day, I know that I'm able to help you to focus on what's important. Many times, if you're picking up the tab, people do tend to pay a little bit more attention because you're picking up the tab. And you're utilizing that time and trying to at least share with them information about your services. I know you've done the elevator speeches. I know you've done those short courses of yada, yada, yada. But what's really important, in one of the classes sessions that I said in earlier, when you talk about this whole business of social networking, what's important is that you've taken the time to go online and to at least have some working knowledge about the company that you're going to talk to that person about. Is it one that does, for in my area of organizational consulting, are they real big on employee development? Do they do a lot in the area in terms of supporting their associates? At least that's a nice in for you to let them know what it is that you do and how what you do supports them. When I started off here in Broward County, I moved up to Broward County in 1978, I always share with folks the story where I'm watching television and on it there's a commercial. And on the commercial they're doing an interview with Wayne Huizenga. And they're saying way back at that time, those of you remember, it was waste management. And they were talking with him about how his business was growing, things were going along the line. I said, Wayne, who do you do business with? He says, I do business with my friends. How do I get to become one of your friends? That's how you have to think about the whole process. Well, then I found out in Broward County, you serve on a variety of different boards of directors. So I became the board of director volunteer queen. You name a board, chances are I probably served on it. But what's important is not only to serve on the board, you have to move into a leadership role, and you have to produce. You have to be productive. Because at the end of the day, folks know that when you're just on the board for your name and you're just breathing on occasion, if we tell you in and out, because you're probably falling asleep, it's all about being focused. I knew in '78 that I wanted to own my own company, and I knew the only way I was going to be successful in my company was that I had to know right people, right places, right position. I had to talk to folks that had the influence or had the connections with. So you create those relationships. When you're serving on those boards, you're doing it with the idea of eventually, how do I, again, position to get in the right place? Some of you thinking, boy, she cold and calculating. Yeah, that's probably correct. What can I say? Mess up. But that's how business is done. It is the reality of relationships. It is when you have certainly ethics that go along with it. But if you're creating opportunities where folks are getting business, advancing proper causes, when you're able to put together your matchmaking, right people, right place, right connection, then it winds up being a win-win type of scenario, and that's what you want to be focused on. So when you're networking, it is about learning about as many people as you possibly can. What do I bring to the table? How can I make connections? How do I create relationships? How do I create my own network of folks that I do know? And then I must be a primary person that's responsible for the network that I've created. Because at the end of the day, your friends will trust you as you make a referral because you made that referral. So it's making sure that you're honoring your network and that those folks that are a part of your network clearly understands that I've got an obligation to do a good job. I got to make you look good because you did this for me. And I have a responsibility to certainly deliver at the end of the day. But your network now becomes your entree. It becomes your resource for businesses, not only for you, but for relatives, for your companies, for a number of different other people that you're going to run into. So you've got to respect that network that you're starting to create by building the relationships that you have. Once you set up an appointment, you want to make sure, as I said earlier, that you follow up. Follow-up is always the key because so often I've seen where people have gone to events, collected cards, some of them have set up and say, yeah, I'm going to call you for lunch, do, don't, or even if we do meet for lunch or if we do meet for coffee, what did you do afterwards? In many instances, when you're a small business owner, one of the first things that I always make sure that I do is I write a thank you note before I go on the appointment, so that after the appointment is over, you're able to drop that note in the mail. I've got to do those things that are going to make me stand out and be different from everybody else they've talked to. So I've got to look at those things that becomes my signature that folks look for and expect. The other thing is, although some of you I will meet, a lot of you it's a reconnection, but I have to keep in mind that I didn't meet you one time and now where's that $1 million contract? It doesn't happen that way. In many instances, it's going to take several interactions, meeting you at several different places. And that's why I'm looking at the name tags when I get there early. I'm looking at who is it that I needed to make sure see and be seen. Another thing, when you volunteer for the nonprofit organization, I know y'all may not think that's important, but people really do look at the society page. And here in Brown County, it's the CNBC, and it's of all of the different networking events, nonprofit organization things that they've had. People are constantly looking at that. You see the same thing in the newspaper where you see people moving on and moving up. It's a matter of going through those as well. If there's somebody that I've met, somebody that I talked to, somebody that I know that has moved up in the company, again, it's dropping them another note to connect or to reconnect. The other thing that you want to do is sometimes I have dollar for dollars Monday. So on Monday, I'm looking at who do I need to call that I haven't talked to, that I need to just chat with to let you know that I'm still here. Because again, what you'll find is when you're out at different events, what will happen is, I've been meaning to call you. Yeah, oh, okay, fine. Look, no, hey, time out. Why don't I call you on Monday? Why? Because it's a #1 priority for me to connect with you. It may be your 4 or 5 because you haven't called me up until now. So I need to go ahead, take the bull by the horn and say, that's okay, don't worry your little head, honey. I will call you on Monday. What's your assistant? Who is it that I needed to talk to? Because the more I take responsibility for myself, the more I take responsibility for my success, the better I'm going to be in helping to move it along in the direction in terms of where I want it to go. When you network, as I said from the very beginning, why am I going? Why do I need to be at this event? What am I trying to accomplish? Who do I need to know? Who needs to know me? How am I going to move this relationship a little bit farther? And then also making sure that, you can network anywhere. Church, synagogue, walking along in the park or whatever, friends, neighbors or whatever. It really, really and truly doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I know one client, a couple of stories and then I'll be done. One client, my daughter did gymnastics at the time, and another friend, her daughter did gymnastics as well. She moved away, we rehooked up when we were at Junior Olympics, and we were there chatting, and I said, I haven't seen you, Ann, for a while. Why don't we get together and, for coffee, my main thing, and chat. So we did. When we got together for coffee, it was funny because while we were talking, she was telling me about her cousin who just got a big promotion, and I wanted to meet Cesar Alvarez. Well, at the time, Cesar was the president of Greenberg Trauer law firm, and I wanted to get in to talk with them about services. She says, are you kidding? That's my cousin. Are you serious? She said, yeah. So at that point, she told me that actually it was her father that was an attorney in Cuba, and he was the real inspiration behind him going on to become an attorney. She said, let me hook you up with him, talk to the dad, whatever. You never know who knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And until you start engaging in those conversations, I can guarantee that's how you get to meet folks. When I served on the Board of Governors for the Florida Bar, I just saw an ad in the paper and I decided, I need to be there. And I ordered the application. Yeah, I make those decisions like that. So I haven't made a decision, though, that I need to win the lottery right now and make it happen. That's a little bit more work. Filled out the application, sent it in. They got, I think that year, they must have got about 65 or so applications. And from there, they selected 13. And then we went out, we interviewed in Tampa, and of the 13, they selected 5 of us. Well, Abe Fisher, and I've known Abe for a number of years with Nova Southeastern, selected, anyway, wound up being one of the 5 that they sent on to the full Board of Governors. Once the Board of Governors had an opportunity to take a look at it, they selected 3 of the top candidates. They sent those 3 candidates to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court justices made the selection. And as I would remind them, they made a good selection too. All right, let's keep up the good work, guys. You just never know, and that's why it's so important that you talk with folks. There are connections that you haven't even thought about it, but it all stems from what do you want to do? Networking as part of business is such a critical piece because that's how you build relationships. That's how people get to know each other. That's how business at the end of the day is done. Now, okay, secret, turn off the cameras or whatever. Many times it's not what you know, it's who you know. You will see some positions are advertised, entrances into different schools for different positions, or whatever are done. And many times they're done simply because I know you. We have an affinity for you. We have an obligation to help support those who support the business, the college, the university, whatever it is. That's why you have got to make sure that if you got a cause or that if you're selling a product, you must first believe in that product. You have to make sure that you are that product's best advocate, that your business is about you. I found, especially as small business owners, nobody can tell the story about W. Mack and Associates the way that I can. It's me. It's who I am. It's what I breathe. And I am the one who really, really, really wants to make sure that I instill in others the types of services that we offer. I'm also a one-woman shop, so it makes it a little bit easier. But I do work with, and as I was sharing at the table last point, you know, it's a matter of creating relationships. In this business, I work with a number of other independent contractors, and it works. If a project is bigger than what I'm able to deliver, I got a whole bunch of other folks that I can bring in and allow us to make it happen. If it's small, hey, it's just me. I don't have to worry about my friends and family putting food on their family's table. If I've got business, you've got business. Partnerships are so important because I know in this organization you stress it a lot. And it's true. I learned very early in the process, as my mother taught me, 25% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So creating those relationships become very, very important. But it's what you bring to the table. It's you creating that network. It's you taking care of that network of folks that you've created and that you're generating value for everybody. Because believe me, it really, truly does. At the end of the day, good comes back to all of you. When you put good out in the universe, you have challenges and it's supposed to occur that way. But at the end of the day, so much good comes back to you. So it all starts with you deciding, what do you want? And then creating a method of how am I going to go about getting it? And then once I do get it, so what? How do I move it, of course, to the next level? So as you sit at the table and talk to the folks that are sitting next to you, you have no idea as you leave out this room who you might touch, or who they might touch, or who you know that they might know as well. But at the end of the day, it's right time, right place, right people, right thing. Thank you much for allowing me to spend some time.